Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mom's Writers Club. I'm Jessica.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we are going to talk about being on submission, but we will preface this by saying that usually we have some notes we're working off of, and we are just going to have a conversation about it. We've gotten a lot of questions about what it's like to be on submission. So we thought we'd
Totally
give you,
unscripted.
we thought
You
we'd
have
just give
been
you a little bit of
warned.
insight into it. And also unscripted. So this may go off on various avenues, and that's
Yeah, who
okay because
knows?
it's Mom's Writers
Who
Club.
fucking knows? I don't know.
All right, so Sarah,
Yeah.
get us started.
Being on submission was uh,
Maybe this is a conversation that we should be having at night with cocktails.
I have cocktails.
I know.
Okay, well, being on submission was very, very exciting and fun, and also really freaking scary the whole freaking time. And so at that point, like, you've gotten an agent and you've gone through like all the ups and downs and the roller coaster ride of like the call and the offer, and oh my god, is this really happening? Oh my god, I have an agent, I'm so excited. So you've just been through all that, right? And for me, this all went very, very quickly. I mean, it all went very quickly for me. So I didn't like have much time to be like, oh, I'm going to adjust to this state of being before I move into something new.
So what you mean
So
by that is that you got an agent and quickly went on submission, right?
yeah, so I got an agent. She had a few tweaks she wanted me to do to the manuscript, which I did within about 3 weeks. And then she put me on submission about a week and a half after that. So basically, we went on submission maybe a month after I signed with my agent. And we got interest right away. And the whole thing moved really, really fast, is all I'm going to say. And I had just gotten over all the massive excitement of getting this amazing literary agent. And then we move into submission, and I was just like a total wreck. I mean, like, in the good way, like problems you want to have, but oh my god, like the anxiety level of that whole time period was huge. Like, I was working 40 hours a week, you know, and I'm a nurse. Like, every now and then I get to like check my phone and my email, and like my agent would email me when we got responses from editors and stuff. And so I was getting emails coming in, and if she really need, like, I told her, like, I have this job where I don't, answer phone calls, but if you really need me, text me. So every now and then she would text me, and I'd be like, holy shit. This was, I mean, what I remember about that whole time period is being at work. And
So I got to witness this whole time period of Sarah's life.
oh
And
my
I
god,
think
and
that
yes, that's the second thing that I remember, is being at work and texting Jess. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I would have done without you during that time period. I was just like, oh my god.
Well,
Like,
I'm glad I could be there for you. I think you played it like as cool as anyone could, given that like you would be at work and you'd like get a text, but you couldn't always reply immediately. And like, yeah, I mean, it did move really fast. It was really exciting and nerve-wracking.
oh, so nerve-wracking. It was so nerve-wracking. Anyway, so tell us about your experience being on sub.
So for me, it was a longer period of time, and I got to witness.
You had kind of
Sarah
gotten used to
going through it.
having an agent,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like settled into that. Yeah.
Yeah. Settled
Yeah, and
into
you
it.
had witnessed my, wild anxiety ride. Yeah.
So we finished revisions, and my agent sent it out to all of the editors she was going to submit it to. And I got an email like letting me know I was on submission. And I just kind of assumed I wasn't going to hear anything for a while. And at first, like, you really typically like don't hear anything. So, people ask what being on submission is like. And it's kind of just a lot of waiting. It's a little bit like the querying process, right?
Nothing is predictable about it. Your
Yeah.
your agent, yeah, like your agent is sending out queries to editors and waiting to hear back.
It's kind of like that, except you're waiting for your agent to get a hold of you to tell you if you've had interest or if there's going to be a rejection. I was on submission a little over a month. I don't remember exactly. It was 5 or 6 weeks probably. So in that time, I would get emails about editors who had passed, and I would
Mhm.
hear a little bit about why they had passed. One nice thing is that we didn't get a whole lot of feedback like pointing out big issues. So that's a great sign,
It was
it
more just
wasn't,
like, not for
yeah,
me kind
like
of.
personal taste, or maybe they already had
Right,
someone similar to that on their
right.
like being published by that company. So basically it's a lot of waiting. It's just like querying. So like people are like, what's it like? And it's just a lot of waiting and checking your
Yeah.
email a lot. I was trying to think if it was like harder to get those rejections or easier. And I
Then when
didn't
you were
have,
querying?
yeah, I
It's
don't know what you're
very
talking about.
similar. It's very similar to querying is what I felt like. Only you have
Hmm.
even less control because
Yes, but you
because it's
have
all
someone,
going through your agent.
yeah, but
But
like that's not a bad thing.
no, but you're psyched because you have an agent and this is a whole
Yeah,
nother level. But but
yeah,
it is very similar to querying. You're like, your book is out there and getting read by people and you're just hoping for the best, and
yeah.
waiting.
And you have an awesome agent who is on your side, which
Yeah.
is really cool, whether it's a rejection or, and like they're like kind of uh, sharing it with you and maybe talking to you about it,
Hmm.
or if it's, so and so is going to read, or going to acquisitions or whatever, like you also get
Hmm.
to share and your excitement with them about that. And I thought that was really fabulous. I'm trying to
Yeah,
think of
it
what
was nice
happened.
because it isn't like querying in that way. In that if a rejection comes in, you have this person who softens the blow. Or that
Yeah,
was true for me,
yeah,
like if somebody said no, I would get like I would get like a little bit of commentary from my agent, like that would always make me feel a little better.
yeah. And they believe in you. They believe in your books. I got notification that I was going to get an offer while I was out running with my daughter one day. And usually I ignore text messages while I'm running, but when your agent texts you and you're on
Yes,
submission, you stop.
yes. And you stop and
So,
you read your text.
yeah.
Yes.
So I read my text, and we took a photo because I was super excited, and my daughter and I, that is. And then I just like thought about it all day. And then after that, your agent kind of lets everyone else know who still has it, that there's interest. And then it kind of goes from there. And you may or may not get other offers. And then usually a deadline is set, just like when you're querying, by which
Hmm.
everybody needs to be back. And then you accept the offer that you want to go with. And everything kind of goes from there. Do
Yeah,
you,
I mean, and neither Jess nor I have the experience of like the preempt or auction or anything like that.
mhm.
So I'm sure, other authors out there who can speak to that.
Yeah,
Um,
so let's just define what they are, I guess.
yeah,
So a preempt is when a publishing or an editor at a publishing company basically makes an offer, usually of a higher amount of money, to kind of like take that project off the table. So now
right,
nobody else can consider it. So you're saying
right,
yes to their offer without waiting for other offers to come in.
right.
Whereas
So they're
like you,
basically saying, I'm going to offer you X amount of money, and I want you to say yes or no now, and
yeah,
not
you get
let
like a
everybody else know
day,
so
I
that they
think.
can compete with me. And then you
Yeah,
usually get a larger amount of money for that. Yeah.
yeah. And then what's an auction?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, an auction is usually, my
Sorry.
understanding, and again, I haven't been in this position, is like three or more. And there are different types of auctions that can be done, but the general idea is that you kind of like go around and see who's going to offer more, but it's not always just about money, is
Yeah.
again my understanding from what I've
Yeah.
read and heard. Sometimes it might be like which rights are included, or which editor the author is more interested in working with. Anyway, so it can end in a lot of different ways. Most people get one offer. That is what is most typical. Again,
Yeah.
what I have heard and read. But yeah, I mean, it's really exciting. And then once you like say yes, you can't tell anybody. And that's the other thing. Okay,
I
backing up.
know.
So
Okay, wait, before
everybody,
we get into that,
yeah.
hang on. Before we get into that, there is that period where you have an offer and your agent is negotiating the terms, basically. Like, are we going to, like, which rights to my work are we talking about here?
Hmm.
What rights are we going to keep? What rights are we going to give you?
Yeah.
All that stuff. And then you're like, I just want to say that that is the point at which, if you haven't already, you kind of realize what a badass your agent is and how much they know
Yeah,
and how indebted you
totally.
are to them for knowing all that shit, because I don't know at all.
Agents serve so many purposes, but that is like a huge part of it.
Yeah.
And by
It's like,
rights, we're talking about like world English or all languages or like
right,
sub
like
rights, like
foreign, like
foreign
translation
rights.
rights or film rights or
Mhm.
audiobook rights
Yeah,
or
that's what we're talking about.
serialization rights or freaking graphic novel rights. I mean, stuff like that. Like, there's so much contractual stuff that they understand and know about and can anticipate, that, like, I was just like, thank you.
Yeah.
I just wrote this book and I'm glad you like it.
Oh, so I just wanted to address before we move on. Like a lot of people don't talk about being on submission, and I didn't
Oh, how you don't get
understand
to talk
that.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't understand it at the time. And sometimes I kind of wonder if we should be more open about it. But I also understand why people don't, because people often spend a lot of time on sub, like months, a year, and I can understand how hard it must be to like go on sub and like if you had told everybody, have them asking you about it. So
Right, right.
it felt kind of weird at the time because I wanted to be able to talk to people about it. So like,
Yeah.
I talked to Sarah and I talked to my other critique partners, but it's just kind of this weird space where you're not really sure what you're supposed to be doing because there's literally nothing you can be doing. Like
Yeah.
you did it, you wrote the book, you revised it, now
It's
your agent
out of
has
your
it.
hands. Yep.
Yeah, your agent has sent it out. So I just wanted to like address that and let you know like it's totally normal to feel that way. I definitely was kind of like, what do I do? And I'll tell you what you do. You write the next book.
Right.
That is what you do. So that when
Definitely.
you get your book deal, you've already started it, or like what the premise is, or like something, so you can move forward. Or in case the publishing company is interested in like a 2-book deal, that you can actually like have an idea of what you're going to do next. Then like, okay, so you've said yes to the editor and to the publishing company, and you would think that you sign a contract, but it often like can take quite a bit of time. And I've read that some contracts are taking up to like 6 months right now,
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
which,
mine took 4, I think.
yeah, it can take
Took a
quite a while.
really long time. I have to say though that, like, once
Uh-huh.
we kind of settled and we got the offer and everything, I did go out and have a massive blowout party night with my brother and sister and my husband and my
Oh, that's
stepdaughter,
wonderful.
and we drank all the champagne and we called it Foop Day, which Jessica hates because it sounds like poop day.
It does
But
sound like poop day.
first
I have a
offer
toddler.
of publication. Anyway, we had a big party and we gave it a silly name, and it's
I guess I
important to
forgot to mention
enjoy the
celebrating, so I'm
milestone.
glad you brought it up. But please don't
Oh
call
yeah.
it poop day. She promised not to call it that for me, which I really appreciate.
Oh, sorry.
And the thing we didn't mention is that you usually talk to your editor before you say yes.
Yeah.
You have a conversation with them and get to know them a little and like find out what revisions they have in mind, and you can ask questions, and they will ask you some questions,
Right.
and that's
Get a little feel for their
kind
personality, and yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like the call with the agent when they're
Yes, it
offering, just
is.
kind of
It
feeling each
is.
other out. But yeah, and
And
then
I
after
had that
that, yeah,
conversation at work in the middle of my day.
that
I got
sounds
my
so
friend
awful.
to cover. It was crazy. I got my friend to cover for me. I went into we have this little quiet room, which is just for staff, tiny little room that you can lock the door, which I love. And I went in there and I had my phone. I'm in there in my scrubs and my badge and stuff like that. And we had this great conversation. And I came out like, I felt like a fucking hummingbird. I was like, what? Why is everybody moving so slowly? It's so quiet in here. I'm so excited. It's really funny.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it happened at work.
Well, my editor's in London, so I had mine at 5:30 in the morning,
Oh
which
yeah,
was fine because I'm up that early anyway. But it's a cool call to have. It's really fun. It's
it
nice
is.
to
It
know
is
that
a really cool
someone
call
loves
to
your
have.
book.
Yeah, and somebody who can actually bring it into the world and make it real.
Yeah, totally. So after that, eventually you'll sign a contract that your awesome agent has negotiated for you. You'll do revisions. You might go over like what the publication schedule looks like with your editor. every publisher is a little bit different. For me, I've started like talking to publicity a little bit and getting them some basic info so they can kind of start getting thoughts and ideas on stuff.
Yeah, like
Um,
my being on submission process was very fast, but like your offer to publication trajectory is much faster than
mhm.
mine. Like I'm slated for March 2023. So it was kind of like there's all this excitement around being on submission, getting the offer, and having like people interested in your book, and then you get the offer and you're super psyched and you go and drink all the champagne, and then like nothing happens for about 3.5 months.
Yeah.
Which is not nothing. I mean, I did get a couple of emails, like my editor reached out. I'm like brought into the family at the publisher, which is really exciting. I mean, absolutely every email I get, even the most totally generic mass emails from my publisher that I get, I'm like,
Yeah, no, it's awesome. You definitely feel like it's it's the first book deal. So you like I'm very cognizant that this is like just the beginning, but it
yeah,
it feels in some ways like you've made it, even though it's just a little step. And I recognize that. I'm not trying to say that like, oh my God, we're so wonderful, but like
yeah.
you feel like, you've had this goal and that you've achieved it, which I guess we're like off the topic of being on submission now. Yeah, submission is a lot like querying. It's a lot of waiting. It's a lot of hoping. There are some ups and downs. Yeah, I don't know. What
And
else should we
some
talk
books
about
don't
with it?
sell,
Yeah,
and
but
that's
but
really
that
tough.
doesn't mean
But
they won't sell though. Like,
no, and it
uh,
doesn't mean they're not good. It's just like when you're querying and you don't, there's a
yeah,
book that you don't get an agent with, and then on your next one you do.
yes.
Yeah.
So my friend and critique partner Jamie Lynn Hendricks, her first book that was just published this past May is actually her second book. And her second book didn't sell until after her first book was bought and her publisher bought
Oh,
her other book. So that doesn't
that's
mean
cool.
it won't get used. It just
Right.
means like not right now. So
Right.
keep that in
That
mind
just
too.
wasn't the one. Yeah. I did like where we were going there for a minute.
What do
Like,
you mean where we are going?
oh, how it feels when you have an offer and you feel like this
Oh yeah.
dream that you've had. I don't know, like you get an offer and being on submission is over and you now have an editor and a publisher, and it's just this really really awesome feeling.
Yeah. It's kind of,
It's all
yeah.
it's cracked up to be. It lives up to the hype. That's how it is for me anyway.
Yeah, totally. All right. Well, thanks for joining us as we talk a little bit about what it's like being on submission. Let us know if you have any questions down below. Just a reminder, we have our chats every other Wednesday night. You can find them on Twitter. I am at author Jess Payne,
And I am at Sarah Reed author.
and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye bye.